Well, hello my friends. It's been, I think, about maybe 2.5 years since I made a video. I was working pretty hard trying to get retired and get bills paid off and you name it. And then of course we had a pandemic. So anyway, I'm finally getting around to getting back in the saddle again. And one of the things that I've started doing recently, I do almost everything. I do a little flint knapping, which I'm also not real good at. And any kind of woodwork, any kind of bushcraft, things like that. But now I'm really enjoying Greenwood carving of spoons. Many years ago, I did a good bit of spoon carving. Normally, what I do is just go and get some 1x2 furring from the Home Depot and cut it up, and I made mostly just cooking spoons. And I did work with a piece of cypress in Florida. That spoon, which was one of my very favorites, it got gone. But I was basically using things like, I don't know if you can see them, these carving tools here. Just regular hand wood carving tools. And I got kind of hooked on really hard exotic woods. For instance, like, oh my goodness, this is the hardest one I've got. This is snakewood, and I probably need to bring the camera in so you can really see this. Let me see what I can do. It's been so long since I did a video that basically let's see, I think I need to bring it down just a hair. Maybe just about right there. And in just a little tighter. It's been so long since I did a video that basically the battery in my remote is dead. But that's okay. We'll get another one. Alright, so this is snakewood, and by golly is it hard to carve. You can see I started the bowl here, and I had to basically clamp it in a vise and use my little wood gouges and a mallet to carve it out. It's super hard, super heavy. But anyway, one day I'll finish that one. We'll see. And then I had some Belize rosewood. Now this is also extremely hard. I know it's a funny looking little blank when you finish it. I did another one like this. It basically looks kind of like a little shark. But, so anyway, that's Belize rosewood, also extremely hard. You can tell by the tone of these, they're really hard. Alright, and I've got some purple heartwood here, amaranth, and it is another one I want to finish up. It is not as hard as these other two, but it is a good bit harder than walnut. So it is a pretty tough wood to carve. So I didn't finish it either. Basically, I got to the point where I had too much aching in my hand joints, and I thought saving my hands was more important. So I've got this, also got this little piece of cedar here, which is harder than I expected really at the time, and I ended up basically not finishing this one up, but I will one day, somehow, with a vise and a mallet. And this one I can probably finish now. It's not quite as hard as the others. It's a piece of curly maple, beautiful grain in it. So I'll probably start, starting it again sometime soon. Thank you, kitty cats. Most of you may not know that since I last made a video, my beloved 18-year-old cat Sunday has passed away with the same sort of practical, let's get this done thing that she has always done. And so we have two new almost grown kittens which wreak havoc. So let me put these down, including crashing into the tripod. Now this is the last spoon I made before I quit spoon carving. Basically, it is made from a piece of 2x4. You know? It's a nice spoon, but that's the last one I did because my hands had gotten to where they hurt so much when I carved that it was just too much. Okay. So now Greenwood carving. Basically, the whole point with Greenwood carving is that you don't use hard woods. You can use walnut, you can use cherry, you can use maple, you can use oak, you can use pretty much anything you can find, including sycamore, which is a fairly pretty hard and twisty wood. So I thought, yeah, maybe I should try this. So I have a friend on Facebook. His name is Hearn Hurn, and you can find his Facebook page is Huron Spoon Company. And he's amazing. I've admired his spoons for a number of years. Finally thought, yeah, maybe I should try that. I'm retired now, I got a little time. And, oh yeah, changes the world. I have more wood on my back porch than I can possibly ever get carved now. But, let me show you what I'm doing, okay? Now, the first thing I did was get some blanks from Sean and carve them. And I'm going to show you a few of those. And what I've got here, this one, I hope you can see these. The light's not great in here. Got a little bit too much coming in from the right. Let's see. Let's see what we can see. So, this is what he calls a pocket spoon. And it is just a stunning little walnut spoon. I doubt if you can see it in this light, but it literally has three little knots right in the bottom of the bowl, which makes the grain pattern just brilliant. So I did that from a pre-roughed out spoon blank that I got from Sean Hurn. This one also, and as you can see, you can, there's enough meat on it that you can modify it to look like what you want it to look like. I hope you can see this, because this one literally comes out with a heart on the bottom of the bowl. Just a beautiful piece of walnut. Absolutely beautiful. And this one is cherry, and it's more of a little scoop type of spoon. And the grain also is stunning. I love this little spoon. This also came in a pack of spoon blanks that Sean Hearn sent me. And this one is more like the shape of the actual spoon blank itself. Just beautiful, gorgeous, gorgeous spoon blanks. So if you don't have access to Greenwood, Sean does blanks for people in all kinds of different woods. So I'm hoping to get some birch and some cherry and maybe some apple from him. Now, I'll show you the ones that I've kind of just kicked over the traces and done myself and kind of made up my own patterns. So I've got a few of those here. this one, this beautiful little spoon, is made from a cherry tree that we had in our front yard that died. It was the first tree we planted on this property. A little harmony tree passed away, so she's going to live forever, and some wooden spoons. So that one's cherry. Now, I have a sister who lives on a farm up in Grundy County, Tennessee, and I got this hickory from her farm. The horses had chewed around and girdled it, had to come down anyway, so I said, hey, I need that wood. So this is one that I've done for my sister Marcia. And I used to carve plain pine spoons for her years ago, and I think she's still got them. I think she's still cooking with them every day, and we're talking probably, oh my goodness, probably 35 years ago I carved some of them. So, you know, lots of durability in those. Now this one, my older sister wanted a, I don't know, I think she says it's a dough paddle or something like that. And so this is also out of the hickory. So that is for her, for my older sister. And I, now with the spoons that Sean makes, true spoon carvers, true Greenwood carvers, basically what they do is they're so good at what they do that they're able to, don't know if you can see it or not, but they're able to, let me see if I can get it to focus here. Can you see the little facets on the bottom of the bowl? They don't sand. What they do is they're able to carve them in such a way that they don't have to sand. What they do is they just burnish them either with a very polished stone, or what Sean uses and what I use are, let's see, I think I've got it here. It's an antler. And this also is, you know what, I just should move this closer. That's what I should do. All right. So what I've got here is an antler, and the end is very, very polished, and you can take it and you can buff down in the bowl. You can rub inside and outside curves with this part. It's also quite polished from use, and you can do that instead of having to sand. Now, let's see what I've got here. So the important thing at this point, all my wrinkly stuff here, the important thing is that it's been a while since I made a video, folks. Sorry about all the toing and froing. You don't have to spend a lot of money to get into green spoon carving. You basically need really only two tools. You need a straight blade, often called a sloyd knife. It's a thin, slightly curved blade that lets you get into, and it's very, very pointed towards the end, lets you get in and out of spots where the grain changes. And mine is very inexpensive. You know I love my Mora knives. Well, this one is the Mora basic carving knife, and you can see that the blade is, it's very, very pointed towards the end, lets you get in and out of spots where the grain changes. And mine is very inexpensive. You know I love my Mora knives. Well, this one is the Mora basic carving knife, and you can see that the blade is, it's very, very pointed towards the end, lets you get in and out of spots where the grain changes. And mine is very inexpensive. You know I love my Mora knives. Well, this one is the Mora basic carving knife, and you can see that the blade is You see the basic shape of the blade. It's very pointed at the end. It's thin, and it comes razor sharp. Now you have to keep it sharp, of course, and I've proved that I do that by cutting myself regularly. But that's what you start with, okay? And you also need, and some people say you don't, I couldn't do it, but to make a bowl you need some kind of curved knife. And so to do the inside of the bowl, I have this one, which is from Beavercraft, and it came razor sharp, which was just awesome to me. And that is my favorite knife for carving bowls. You can also use what they call a spoon knife or a hook knife, okay? And this one I'm not as good at. I'm not good with this knife yet. I'm going to learn how to use it. But so far, you know, it's tough. I used it some, but it's not as easy to use as the others. These two knives right here is what you need to start. And honest to goodness, ignore the tools on the wall. You know, I can't help but collect tools. These are all you need to start, okay? This knife on Amazon, this Mora basic carving knife, cost $19.95. This Beavercraft bent knife, hook knife, sometimes they call them a broken knife. Doesn't cost me $19.95 on Amazon. So those are not expensive knives. Now, this will get you started. You could get your spoon blanks from somebody like Hearn Hurn if you absolutely have no way of getting a hold of Greenwood, or at least you don't know where to get it yet. You will find it. These will get you started. But to really jump into it, you kind of need a carving hatchet. Now, carving hatchets are amazing. The cost of them is also often amazing, and often you have to wait in line for some of them a year or two to get a really good one, okay? And you know me, you know I don't like to spend a lot of money because I don't have a lot of money. And you also know that if I can build a tool or make a tool, like I'm sitting on this combination spoon mule and shaving horse that I made, and I'll show you about that sometime, but not today. So basically you need what they call a carving axe. It's really a big hatchet or a small hatchet. And if you're going to truly go the traditional route with Greenwood carving and rough out your blanks yourself, you can do it with a coping saw. You can do it with a bandsaw. Most people don't have a bandsaw. I happen to have one, and it's pretty chintzy, but I do have one that I used to use for this kind of thing. You can see that I used it for, I cut this one out on it, okay, on my old bandsaw. You can do that, but truly there's a great deal of joy and fun in chopping out your own spoon blanks. And again, I'm not going to show you how to do that. I'm not very good at that yet. And there are plenty of videos on YouTube. Go out and look at them. You'll get hooked on them. You'll be addicted to spoon carving videos, okay? But I could not afford a real carving axe. I don't know if I'll ever make enough spoons to be worthwhile to spend, I don't know, $300 to $600 on a carving axe. That's not going to happen. So when I first started this some months ago, I basically had, I got an $8 hatchet from Harbor Freight. Okay, now, this is not a bad little hatchet. You can get it good and sharp, you know. And, you know, you kind of want to reprofile it so it has a pretty, you know, a more tapered edge on it. I use this one basically for splitting. So I blew another $8 and got one, and this one, and these are like £1.25 hatchets. They're not very cut the end off so it didn't get in my way while I'm chopping. But they'll take a good sharp edge. Still, you can't, it's a little harder to get right up on them. You know, it's a little bit harder to control, but they are not bad hatchets. You can do it. I'm a 68-year-old lady. I need all the control I can get, you know. So that's what we have there. Now, I already had from a friend of mine down in Georgia by the name of Phyllis Mulkey. She had given me, it's kind of dirty, this little, oh my gosh, I don't know what it weighs, maybe half a pound. Little kind of a backpacking hatchet. It's got a nice wide blade. It's it's real narrow. This one, when I want to really get up close and have something lightweight to carve with, this one's great. And this one, I think it's a Coghlan's. I think you can get them for about $20 at Walmart. So there you go. Now, the other thing you kind of need is a stump. And as soon as you start watching some of these videos, while I'm keeping you in suspense here, you'll know why you need these things. Now, I didn't have a stump, so I built one, okay, out of a bunch of old 2x4s I had in the backyard. You can do it. All right, and so I was chopping along, making spoon blanks on this artificial chopping block. Oh, this is the side I was chopping on. You can tell it's all kind of beat up. But some people down the street were cutting down some trees. So I said, hey, have you got a piece left that's, oh, I don't know, maybe this big around and about that tall? And they said, yeah, we'll drop you one off. And so it was a chunk of pine is all they had. And I made my first carving stump. And I'm going to go out and show that to you. I'm going to show you my new carving stump. And let me think, is there anything else I need to tell you before we go outside? You need a stump, you need an axe, you need a couple of tools. You can get all kinds of other tools if you want to. But basically, that's really, you know, that's really all you need. A Sloyd knife, it doesn't have to. You can get some really nice ones. Again, you'll probably have to wait for them to be made because they're handmade. You can get some really nice ones. If you can afford it, get it. Get the best tools you can. The curved knives, oh my goodness, the broken knives, the hook knives, the whatever, like I showed you. You can spend a lot of money on those too. If you can afford it, get them. But you don't have to. If you just want to try it out, two $20 knives and you're done. And you can even make your little stump. You could even get your hatchet from the Harbor Freight. Oh, one more thing I wanted to show you before we go outside. And that is, I had gotten an old axe. I'm sorry, not axe, hatchet. It is a carpenter's hatchet. Just the head at a flea market. Probably did not likely to have paid more than a couple of dollars for it. It's been banging around in my shop for a long time. Had a very straight edge, and I had a picture of it here somewhere. Don't know where it is now. I'll try to find it. Very straight edge and a big thick hammer head on the end of it. You know, very straight edge, and it had a nail puller on the bottom. And I took that and I looked at it and I thought, I could make a carving axe out of that. I could do that. So with no more than an angle grinder and you know, my vise to kind of hold it in, it was actually my woodworker's vise I used to hold it in. I made myself a carving axe, and this one is one that I decided I wanted to make it kind of one-sided, so that one side is absolutely straight and the other side has straight. Come on, hand, be straight. The other side has the cutting bevel on it. So I decided I wanted to make one like that, a right-handed one. They come in right-handed and left-handed. And so I did. And I decided to make it, cut it out so that it would be like a bearded axe, so that I can get right up to it like this when I'm really trying to either shave with it, because you can shave wood with these axes. They're almost like a, you know, like a plane. So I made myself this carving axe. This is the absolutely flat side, and this is the side with a bevel on it. And I cut off the hammerhead. I cut out all of this in here so that I can get right up to it when I really have to be very careful about placing the cut. And I had an old axe handle that had broken, but this part was absolutely sound. So I took it and I put this on my hatchet after I cut off this part, and I also rounded. This was absolutely straight this way, and so I ground this round because it slices better into the wood when you're spoon carving. And like I said, I cut all of this out because it just kind of came straight over like this, and then a great big hammerhead on the end that I cut off. So I put it on this axe handle, and it was a little bit thick for me right here, so I just cut the sides down on, just sanded them down, and that way, number one, it keeps it from slipping around in my hand, but also it's small enough for my hands, which is great. So, as I said, if you want to see people do these things, please go out to YouTube and look up Greenwood spoon carving. You won't believe how many good videos there are. I suggest you start with Hearn HuronSpoon Company. I'll try to put his link to his channel after my video. And also another one, there's this wonderful Brit by the name of Zed from Zed Outdoors, and he has a whole series where he goes around Great Britain and watches different spoon carvers carve, so that you get exposed to a lot of different techniques. And it's just, you can just sit there and waste a day doing nothing but watching spoon carving videos. But check on Sean Hearn, because he's the person who inspired me. And we're going to go outside and look at my my carving stump that I made, and look a little bit at that. And I might chop a little bit. Okay, be back in a minute. I almost forgot. Before you get into getting an axe or that sort of thing and really jump into it, if you just want to try the carving part and you don't have already access to Greenwood, as I said, some of my very first, so what I did at first was I said, hey Sean, I need some spoon blanks. And he sent them to me. And these are kind of wet because they've been in the freezer, which is a good way to preserve them. But this is basically what he sends you. This is walnut, and it's splendid. And you can see it is very carefully, you know, roughed out. It's you may not be able to see the pattern on it, but I can. He's got the pattern drawn on it, and they are splendid. This is what he calls his pocket spoon. I love this spoon. And also what he calls his eating spoon. And this is the way you get them. So a lot of the work is done. You can just get your crooked knife and your straight carving knife and jump in and see if you like carving greenwood. And what Sean does is he keeps his wood when he takes it, and I'll show you a couple of examples. He takes it and he, now these are messy because these are mine, okay? This is a piece of red maple, It's got some disease in it, and I will chop all that away. So it's got, you know, some dark stuff, okay? And this is a piece of red oak. And I haven't tackled any of that yet. I got this from my nephew. But as you can see, before you can even draw a pattern on it, you kind of got to get a flat spot. And so that is one of the beautiful things about having the stump, is that if you can get a hold of Greenwood, you take it, you get all the bark off, and you split it up however you want it split up. But it's really important to get all the bark off, and you can either put it in the freezer, or you can put it in tubs of water and just change the water every week. Now, in the winter, that's not quite so important because that water is really cold. But I have managed to, other than buying these spoon blanks from Sean, and I'm about to buy a batch more of his spoon blanks to get some different wood. I got mine, like I said, the red oak and the maple I got from my nephew off his piece of property. He was clearing some things. I got the hickory off my sister's property. And I got the cherry out of my yard. And then, you know, you're driving along and you see somebody pruning a tree in their yard, and you stop and say, hey, I like to carve spoons. What you going to do with that wood? And they go, oh, yeah, well, you know, probably burn it. And I can usually get a few pieces that are really nice that way. It almost tempts me to carry my chainsaw around in my car, you know. I haven't done that yet, but it's coming. So I got, from my neighbor diagonally across the road, I got some box elder, which is, I guess, kind of a soft maple. And I'm going to be trying it out. I've cut a spoon out of that. And I've gotten, from a neighbor down the street that was pruning, well, actually taking down some trees, I got a little bit of white oak, and got the red oak from my nephew. But another lady down the street, when I was looking for a bigger piece of stump material, I saw they'd cut a tree, and went down there and they cut down something called a willow oak. And oh my goodness, the grain is beautiful in that. And so the lady and I managed to heft this 2-foot long piece of, you know, 12-inch diameter piece of willow oak into the back of my truck. And it doesn't matter that I'm 60, I'm still going to pick up wood. I am. And so I got the willow oak, which is beautiful. And I also got, I was going by one, usually I try to make the folks a spoon and out of their wood and take it back to them. I owe several spoons right now. I got to get busy. So I've only actually got my sister paid off, come to think of it. But anyway, so I also got some pear, and I'm going to be making that gentleman a pear spoon. Fruit woods seem to be very sought after for spoons. So anyway, I will kind of show you what I do on my stump outside with these. And like I said, but those are your options. Sean Hearn, Huron Spoon Company, he will sell you beautiful blanks, and he's very fastidious with his wood. So they should be great. That's how I started. You know, that's how you should start. So hold on, and I may wait till tomorrow to do the outside part because it's kind of cold and it's getting a little bit overcast and dreary. Going to be an early sunset today. So I'll get that done, and then I'll get this uploaded for you. Thank you. I have missed all of you. I have missed YouTube, and we're going to get some things. We're going to get some things going because I got inventions to do, you know? Have a good day. Well, this is the front porch where I rough out my spoons. So let me see what we got here, and I'll kind of show you what I have going here. So hang on a second. little sunny over here, so it's a little bit hard for me to tell what the contrast is like, but we'll see what we can do, okay? Now, once again, like I said, I'm not really, there are a ton of videos out there on Greenwood carving, and so I'm not really going to show you how to do that, but I have to chop some just because it's fun, right? So, when I first started, I showed you the block that I started with, but some guys down the street were cutting trees, and I asked them for a chunk of wood, and they gave me this piece of pine, and it's about probably 8 inches in diameter at its biggest dimension, but so much better than a block of 2x4s. So, I'll show you what I did with it. I used Hearn Hurn's design as far as putting legs on it. I'll have to bring it up here so you can see it a little better. Let's see. See what we can do. It's a little bit heavy, but it's not too bad. Alright, let's see. I think you can mostly see that. So what I did was I put these legs on it with lag bolts, and then put a bunch of straps on it to hold my tools. Now, I haven't put any straps on this one yet. Now, this one is the one I got from a lady down the street that had cut down a lot of a piece of willow oak, and I love this stump, but my goodness, it was green when she and I put it on the truck, and it was pretty heavy. But it's not quite so bad now, but it's still a very sturdy stump. But I use Hearn Hurn's design for a lot of things here. Now, normally he cuts his stump the way this one's cut, you know. And with these notches, that helps you with your spoon carving. You'll see that if you watch people carve spoons. But, so anyway, I got this, and I would put the legs on in a little bit different way next time. I would put one of the legs in the back here, next to where this is, and the other two up here, just because when I'm sawing sometimes it rocks a little bit. But so what I've got here, I've got my Silky Pocket Boy, and like I said, I can't really tell. Yeah, I can see it. This is a handy thing if you decide you're really going to like carving spoons, or any old hand saw you've got around will do. This one is just fast and easy. Love my Silkies. And I've got this hatchet strapped to it because it's one I use just for when I get a piece of Greenwood. One thing that maybe they don't go over enough in the videos on Greenwood carving, they say carve Greenwood, and oh my goodness, it is so much easier. However, what they don't tell you is how to keep it green. I know a lot of people in Great Britain say, all right, we got this long limb and it came down a couple of weeks ago, it's just fine, we'll cut off the ends where it's starting to dry, blah blah blah, and use the green part. But Hearn Hurn in the winter leaves his out to freeze, and I'm sure there are a lot of people that do that, but people have asked him how he keeps his wood green, and what he does is he debarks it and splits it up into basically, you know, bolts, kind of like this one, and he keeps it in water, which he changes during the warm months at least once a week. So he's got some really nice tubs. I just use cheap dollar store kind of tubs to keep mine in on the back deck, and that keeps it green for a long time. And if you're working on it, you, for a few days, you know, you can put it in a plastic bag. You know, I mean, some of these spoon carvers, they'll carve a couple of dozen spoons in a day or something like that. Me, it'll take me several days to do a spoon, just because I'm slow, you know, I'm inexperienced, I've got a lot to learn. So that's kind of an important thing to know, that to keep the wood green, you can't just let it just lay around. If you get a nice, like a nephew of mine got me a big chunk of red oak. It was about this thick and about that big around. He also gave me some maple that was about the same dimensions. And that's going to dry out pretty quickly because it's got a big surface area. So I really worked hard to get that all processed in a few days and get it in water. This is a piece of the maple he gave me. It's a red maple. And I think I got a piece here somewhere of the red oak. But I just got it out of the freezer, so it's a little frozen. So anyway, you get it processed as quick as you can, and you get it in water. And if it's warm months, it's not cold outside, then you need to change that water at least once a week. And if you don't, or if you're like me and you don't get all the bark off, or you left some of the inner bark because you didn't even recognize what it was, oh boy, that soup will go sour really quick, and you end up having to scrub out the tub. But anyway, that's something that a lot of people don't really let you know. Greenwood's awesome. If you can get it, cut it, carve it. But if you don't have time right now, you can preserve it. And Sean says he's had some of his in a tub in water for over a year. Now, he carves things a lot faster. It probably would last longer. I don't know. But anyway, that's what he does. So that's an important thing to know. So when I'm processing wood, this little hatchet is kind of like my initial splitter. It's an $8 hatchet from Harbor Freight. And I use some wedges and things that help me, because I'm an old lady, you know, and sometimes I can beat on a stump for 2 days before it splits. So there it is. So anyway, so I've got my stuff pretty convenient here. I've got my silky pocket boy. Sometimes when I'm trying to get the inner bark off, I use this really cheap knife that I got somewhere, not sure. But anyway, I've got it screwed to the side because it's kind of handy once in a while. And over here, I have got a really great pencil. It marks on wet wood, which is awesome. I'll try to remember to put what that's called somewhere in the description underneath. And this particular hatchet, I've really worked on the profile on and sharpened it up. It's really helpful. And as I said, this one I got from Phyllis Mulkey. She gave me this one, and it's a Coghlan from Walmart. It's about a $20 hatchet. It's really thin, and that's helpful to me. If you get to the point in this where you want to actually chop out your own blanks and you really can't afford a good and expensive hatchet yet, then there you go. Now, what I haven't done yet is I haven't made a place to put my hatchet that I made yet, but it's going to be on here somewhere. So I've got all my stuff on here, and what you do is let's see, can you see? Yeah, you can see this. The reason I screwed this piece of wood here is because sometimes when you're chopping, to keep things from sliding away from you, you can put it up against that. And that's super handy, okay? So, let me put this away. So when the lady gave me this stump, I actually cut it so that it's got that, all right? And like I said, this one just had the screw on. I love this little stump. You can see it's not much longer than my hand, but so much better than chopping way down on the floor on that, or propping up that little block of 2x4s. This was my first stump, all right, and I still love it, and I still use it occasionally. This one's a little taller. Now, I want to get one, probably if I can get another piece of this willow oak, where I could stand up to chop. But that's okay. You know, I could put legs on this one, but it's kind of nice to sit down and chop. So that's kind of, at this point, all you need to get into, you know, spoon carving. An axe, those knives I showed you, and like I said, if you're handy, see what you can do about modifying an axe, like this one that came from the flea market that, you know, I changed to be a little more friendly. And you can see the handle is not very long, okay? That's really good for me. It doesn't bump into my fat. That's the reason I cut the end off of that one. And it doesn't have to be flat on one side like I did mine. That's an experiment, you know. It was a $2 hatchet, and there you go. I need to sharpen it again. And it still needs some more polishing, some more work, but it's great. So now, you may notice that I've got a piece of landscape. Maybe you can't see. Yeah, you can see the landscape timber. This piece of landscape timber, I discovered that for me, my hands aren't as strong or as steady as some of the younger folks. And so this is pretty good when I'm chopping, but if I'm chopping something long, sometimes it's a little hard for me to hold it steady. But if I put it down here, I can do that and still, you know, am able to get it chopped. How I figured that out was on this one, I discovered that if I put my blank down, let's see, can you see it? Yeah, if I put the blank down kind of on the top of the leg, I could do that. So I thought, I'm going to just put that into my next thumb. So that's just, got a couple of big nails, I think, nailing it on there. So anyway, so your stump is, if you're going to use axe work, as your best friend. And I will tell you, I am not an axe expert. And you see, I don't have my knee where it should be. It should be over here. But all these guys and gals who are really, really good spoon carvers can show you there are a ton of folks out there with videos on YouTube to show you how to axe out spoons. And for me, the most important thing is I try to get off the yucky stuff and get things kind of smoothed out and sort of even. But the important thing, and I could do a lot of this on my shave horse, but chopping with an axe is fun. So I kind of figure out where I want this to go, and this one, I can't tell. I think it is probably a radial piece, which means it's not going to have rings in the bowl. But if I'm going to put a pattern on this, I need a flat side. So that's one of the things that you do with your axe work. Like I said, once you get your side kind of flat and you draw your pattern on and you decide how you're going to orient things, the people that do this, they carve out the entire spoon all the way up to the line with their axe. I can do that a little bit, but I am far from learned on it, so I won't even try to show you how to do that. You can see I'm not that good with an axe. So anyway, if you don't have an expensive axe, that's called a drop cut. You will learn an awful lot from the folks online. This poor little red maple, it died of bugs apparently, so you'll find the occasional little hole in it. And one thing that Hearn Hurn does is he will find, notice I'm keeping my fingers out of the way, he will find some thorns or something, and he'll use those to, he'll put them in there and let them dry in tight in these little holes, and that's really pretty cool too. So this is why you need this right here, is so you have something to lean up against when you're squaring up your spoon blank. And like I said, right now I'm just playing because I love doing. You can see, you saw all of my shavings, you can see how much I enjoy doing this. And this little axe that I repurposed just works great. I'm really happy with it. If I were really good at this, I would show you how I axe out an actual spoon, but I'm not. And you don't need to learn any bad habits from me, okay? So, that's it. I am learning how to carve green wood. It is an absolute blast. I'm really enjoying it. I haven't had an opportunity to do any camping really this year. Most of my festivals, nap-ins, things like that were canceled. I thought I would really be on the road with those this year, but I retired on the 1st of March, and well, you know what happened around the 1st of March. Everybody went into shelter in place, and it was total chaos. And being older, being diabetic, and you know, I'm high risk, so you know, and I'm terminally obedient, so I followed the rules and stayed home and worn a mask and done all those things. At least I don't have to wear a mask in a video. Y'all are definitely social distanced. But I haven't been able to do any bushcraft to speak of. I've thought about pitching my hammock in the backyard. But, you know, I haven't done that. And, you know, we bought a little vintage camper last year, and she was great. Took her to a nap-in. It was so nice for Mary Margaret. She could sit around and read while I was running around making arrowheads and that kind of thing. I still pitch my hammock even if I have the camper with us, because I love doing that. But I haven't gotten to do any bushcraft. I haven't hung my hammock and that sort of thing. But I still, you know, would like to maybe do some reviews on some kinds of doing things, and got one in mind. I'll take care of that. I'll do one on my my shave horse and spoon mule, and that'll be fun because I can show you how I carve, even though you will know that I'm a green bean and I'm learning as I go. The other thing I'd like to do this afternoon, I want to make a video because I got some steel from a company called, I think it's North Bay Forge. I got some little knife blanks, and I'm going to try to make some hook knives. I want to make a compound one, and I also just want to make a small, just a small one, just as an experiment, just to see if I can do it. And so that'll be fun. I'll be firing up the little bean can forge. So I will try to get this out to you. It is a glorious 57-degree day here in East Tennessee, and it was 26 last night. It's 57 now. You know, you gotta love the South. So I will try to get a battery for my remote so that I can kind of zoom in on some of these things sometime. And I'm here, I'm back. I don't know how often I'll get videos out, but I am going to start doing that again. And mostly because Bonnie Cave nags me a lot about it. So this one's for you, Bonnie, okay? All right. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for joining me. And anytime, we're here. Thank you. Bye-bye.